welcome back to my channel. First of all, a huge thank you to everybody that left all your beautiful birthday wishes on my last video. I really appreciate it. I read all of your comments. I'm a bit behind in responding to them, but please know how much I appreciate your kind words and I just love you. I think my YouTube community is a very, very special one. So in today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Often I have brand new stampers who have never stamped before and are new to Stampin' Up! And quite often I get questions, how do I put the labels on my stamps? So I'm going to show you how I apply the labels to my stamps, and then I'm going to show you a quick card using the stamp set that I'm putting together. And the stamp set is called Round of Applause, and it's going to be a cute little fun fold. So let's get stamping. This is the stamp set I'm going to be putting together. It's called Round of Applause, and this is our cling stamps. So when we have cling stamps, that means it's our red rubber stamps versus our photopolymer. So let me grab a photopolymer set to show you. So this Mary Moose stamp set is photopolymer, and so these are our clear see-through stamps. Okay, so you don't have to put labels on those. So here is what I do. I am first going to punch out all of my stamps so they're already perforated. I remember years ago when I first joined Stampin' Up, that was 2002, so 18 years ago, we actually had scissors and craft scissors, and we would hand trim around all of the images, and then we would put them on our wood blocks. So lots of changes over the years. So the excess rubber that's left behind, you can do a few things. You can either put them in your recycling. I know some people keep these stored in their cases and then put their stamps back in the spots. Or you can actually set this aside, and on a day when you're feeling very creative, you can cut this up into little pieces and then put them on a block or glue them on a block or put them on a clear block. But you can create backgrounds using these just by cutting them up and then inking them and stamping them. I should do a video on that sometime. I will, I promise. All right. Next, you want to peel off the label that's on the back. Okay, this is what we're going to put the stickers on. So I'm going to go ahead and just take all of those off. Alrighty, there we go. I'm going to start with the big one first. So the big one I'm going to be putting on is this one, okay? That guy right there. And on our sticker sheets, everything is cut down the middle, so it's easy to peel off the backing. And then all I do is I'm lining this stamp up onto that label. So let me zoom in for you. And I'm just going to line that right up, push it down. And then when you peel it off, ta-da! Your label is on your stamp. Easy! And then that just goes right into your case and you're ready to stamp with it. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more. So this sentiment is thank you so much. So now let's find that one. That's this guy here. So you can tell just from the shape on the label and the shape of the stamp that you've got the right one. So again, you just line them up, push down, and lift off. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. Okay, so there are my labels on all the stamps. I'm just going to put these all in their little home here. Okay, now this piece, I actually keep these because they do have that cling side to them. So for some of my older retired stamp sets, these were our clear melt stamps, or the same red rubber, but these had a different adhesive on them. So quite often what I'll do is I will cut bits of this out and put that on my stamps that were not cling, and then they will be cling. And we also sell these uncut in our Stampin' Up! Catalog too, so that's pretty awesome. So this is the cardstock I'm using. I have Whisper White, Petal Pink, and our beautiful Ornate Garden Designer Series paper. Don't you just love that old olive with the gold? Oh, be still my heart. Anyhow, let's go ahead and start cutting into this paper. So for the Petal Pink, I am going to cut it to measure 5.5 by 4 1/4. Now I have my Whisper White cardstock, and along the 8.5 side, I'm going to cut it at the 2 3/4 mark. So this strip now measures 11 by 2 3/4. And I'm going to put this back in, and along the 11-inch side, I'm scoring it at 5.5. Okay. So there we go. And then I'm going to bring this in, and I'm not sure what die I'm using yet, but I'm going to cut it down at 3 inches. And I'm going to cut it at 4 because I know it won't be bigger than that. Now I'm also going to bring this piece back in. And this piece I'm going to cut down at 5.5. And then I'm going to turn around and cut it at 2.5. And this piece is going to fit on this perfectly now. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that. So I have just run out of Stamp and Seal, so I thought I'd keep the camera running while I put in my refill. So here's the refill. And I've already opened it and taken the old one out. And then all you do is you snap this in. This will fit right on these 2 pegs right there. Okay, so you're going to line those up. Snap it in. And then just put the case on. All right, now we're ready to rumble. And I will mention, when I very first started using the Stamp and Seal, I immediately fell in love with it. But you did notice, I noticed people commented in my video, I was constantly turning this to start it. I've since learned we don't need to do that. I use this all the time now, and I don't have to restart it. And the trick is, when you go along, put it straight up and down, and then lift off, and then it starts perfectly every time. So this is the nicest adhesive. I really, really love it. So now let's go ahead and put this on here. No matter how hard I try, I usually always get this bit on crooked. Now this piece is going to go right on that Petal Pink base. Just lining it right up in the center. So the card is going to open up like that. So now I have some Whisper White, and I'm going to use that to stamp a well-deserved round of applause. And I'm going to stamp this with crumb cake. I'll stamp it right down here so I can get more mileage out of that Whisper White. I'm also going to show you how I re-ink my ink pads. If you've never done this before, having a really good wet ink pad makes a big difference. Your color will be more vibrant and darker. I'm just literally gently squeezing out the ink, and I'm just using the tip to spread it along. I love having our re-inkers. We can use so many techniques with this, but it's also great to have if your ink pads start getting a little bit on the dry side. And then I'm just going to ink it up kind of like that, so that I'm blending that ink into my ink pad. So now I'm just pushing down nice and firm, and that's what we have. To color this, I'm using my Old Olive Dark Stampin' Blend, and I'm going to use the bullet end on this. And I'm just going to go in and just add some dark into the leaves, and then I'm going to go back in with my light. Alright, so I have my Stampin' Cut and embossing machine, and I've got plate number 2 on plate number 1, and that's what you use when you're using your thinner dies. And now I'm putting my clear plate in. I'm going to be using the layering circle dies. And I'm going to use this die right here because that looks like it fits perfectly. So now I'm going to put my plate on and run that through. Next, I'm going to bring in this beautiful designer series paper, and I'm going to bring in one of our scallop dies. I don't want the next size up because I want some of that designer series paper to show through. So I can see that that would actually be a good size. Let's just see what the next one would look like. That's 2 sizes up. You know what? I might give that a whirl. Let's go with that one. I love that. All right, let me get my dies and machine out of the way and we'll finish the card. So now I have some of our beautiful braided trim. And I'm going to take a little bit of our tear and tape. And I'm just going to put a little bit right in the center because the die cut is going to hide this. Okay, so I'm just got my take your pick tool and I'm going to lift off that backing. And I'm going to wrap this around a couple times. So I'm not putting it right in the center. I'm just putting it off just a little bit. And then I'm going to wrap it around a couple times, leaving a little bit of a gap. Push that down. Okay, so I have put some dimensionals all around this circle. So I'm just going to peel them off and then put this right onto my card. This piece is also going to be put on with dimensionals. And then that goes right on the center, like so. Then I'm going to bring this piece in, and in the Round of Applause stamp set, we have the bow. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that, and then I'm going to fussy cut that. So I'm also going to stamp this with crumb cake. And I'm going to take my dark petal pink Stampin' Blend, and I'm going to color in the whole thing. And then I'm going to go back in with a different color. So one of the colors in this designer series paper is Flirty Flamingo. I actually don't have Flirty Flamingo in the Stampin' Blend. So I'm going to take my Flirty Flamingo marker. Now you could use an ink pad as well. And we're just going to pick up some of that color. So I've just rubbed a little bit onto my clear block, and I'm going to pick it up with my Stampin' Blend marker. And then I'm just going to use this to add some highlighting. And the reason why I'm doing this versus just using the marker direct to the paper is because with the blender pen, I'm able to get a softer look, and I can also blend it in, hence the name of a blender pen. So I'm just actually kind of pulling that color now into that petal pink that I put on there. Let me show you what I've got done so far. And now I'm going to take my light petal pink Stampin' Blend and go over the whole thing with that. Okay, so there's my coloring. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. So now that that's cut out, I'm going to cut a little bit of my Stampin' Dimensional because I want that to be raised as well. So I'm just going to stick that on the back. And put that right on top, like so. And then the last thing I need is my ribbon bow. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a bow. Take a glue dot and put that onto the card. And I'm going to put that on just like so. I'm going to kind of curl up another glue dot. No, I'm just using my scissors, but they were handy dandy. And I'm going to put a glue dot here just to hold down that ribbon where I want it, because I don't want it to hide my sentiment on this circle. So quite often I will use my glue dots to hold my ribbon in place where I want them to be. So I'm gonna put one there as well. So there is my finished card. And then when you open it up, you can stamp your sentiment, which I think we should. And I'm gonna use congratulations, you did it. And I'm just gonna put that on as well. Then I can stamp them both at the same time. And this time I'm gonna stamp it in Flirty Flamingo. So that is a really fun card to make. I actually did a video a couple years ago on the same fun fold, but I did it quite differently. I actually cut out a circle from this flap and then had a circle with the stamped image on the inside poking through. So I will add the link to that video in this video's description. So if you want to go watch that and see how I used the exact same fun fold but just tweaked it a little bit differently, that will be in the description for you. And for those of you who are new to Stampin' Up! And were wondering how you put your stickers on your stamps, I hope you found today's video helpful. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day and happy stamping.